not so like predictable.
Sure.
Like, how do
Sure.
you see like a situation and deal with
Yeah.
it?
Okay.
Or at least like what goes through your mind and how do you try to solve it?
Yeah, so we can definitely work on some of that stuff as we get through in different scenarios. Did you want me to start with Olimar, or are you not familiar with him? I can go more traditional characters. It's kind of up to you at that point.
I mean, it's okay. I don't really mind some Olimar experience later on. At
Sure.
least like today would be nice. Best player in my town is an Olimar player, so
Okay.
I do
So
want to learn that matchup as well.
yeah, no problem. If you want, we can start with someone traditional, Lucina, Wolf, someone very straightforward for a little bit, and then kind of ease into the Olimar later on. Just get a good gauge on where you're at, if that's fine.
That works. That works with me.
Start with Lucina, keep it nice and simple. So, Byleth, I see. Definitely a unique character, and that's not the most commonly played, and is very kind of bait and punishy in a sense, and also very patient with how you want to play him. A lot of the time, kind of just threatening those zones. But
Yeah.
yeah, we'll get some games going. I'll get some thoughts out and see if everything goes. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me unless they pop up into your head.
All right.
Ooh, that's
Oh, I missed that. That was on my.
yeah, unfortunately caught you. Overall started out not too bad. Back and forth, and that's good. I think there are times where you're a little too focused on getting certain things, and I'm throwing off your timing a little bit. Like when I grabbed the ledge at one point, right? You were on stage and trying to ledge trap me, and I kind of just wait, and you end up going for the down tilt. I changed up my timing a little bit because I wasn't immediately picking that option, and then I ended up punishing you because you committed for it. And it's something funny enough that I remember watching Leo do when I'd watch him, especially against like Meister, who's been fighting him a lot at these major tournaments, right? And
Yeah.
Meister never really wins, but you see him get closer and closer a lot of these sets. And what he's doing is he's kind of also catching Leo off of that. So if you're going to be using those down tilts and trying to cover that or pop me up into a certain area, you really got to be careful. Like, okay, should I just go for a blanket timing and always do it the same thing, or maybe I can run up, maybe throw it out before my opponent is perfectly on the ledge, right? So it's not even like you're aiming to hit it per se. You're down tilting right as I'm going for that up B. And then it's like, okay, this is nothing more than a bait, so then you'll maybe pick an option where I can F-tilt you or forward air you or something like that, right? And kind of encourage them to go into a different spot. So when you're throwing out even the down tilt or any of those advantage state options trying to pressure your opponent, it's really like, okay, are you throwing this out with the intention of it always hitting that really straightforward confirm? Or are you throwing it out to try and scare them? Because there's a difference between you can do it. You can throw a move out and be like, this is never meant to hit you. This is meant to coerce you into going where I want. So I think, playing around with that a little bit more and just trying out different options and seeing how you can get, me to kind of go where you want it before the thing. Because it's very hard to always play one for one and go, I throw this move out and you're going to get hit by it.
Yeah, that's definitely something I want to improve on. So.
Yeah, don't be afraid to just like play around with it and be like, okay, what if I throw this out early and see if I can scare him into picking an option, or use movement to kind of enhance your ledge trapping so that I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
See, like,
I tried to like stop the run in with
yeah,
the down tilt and then attack the aerial.
Yeah, and no, and that's what I'm talking about, right? Like, you changed it up. You didn't just go straight for the ledge and try and do anything crazy. You're like, okay, I have some disjoints of my own. We're both at kill percent, right? But the way Lucina's gonna be hitting me, your character's at their best when they're doing like aerial tippers, right? With those forward airs, those back airs, so you can poke. You didn't just run in and you mix it up, and that caught me off guard. Then I think that's exactly what I was talking about, where you were changing it up. You were like, I can do other things to encourage you to go where I want, or encourage you to think you can try and swing here. And we ended up trading, sure, because I used my neutral B, but you just had a stronger hit in that case, so you ended up winning.
Yeah, and then you were also closer to the blast zone, so the two strong.
Yeah, so it ended up just working out in your favor more. Yeah. Definitely be careful off stage, right? Like sometimes you're not ready for the tech. I know Wi-Fi is a little rough, so I don't put too much thought into that. But you got to be careful, even just because you're off stage and you have a tether. People are good. They're gonna go out there. They're gonna find ways to intercept you. So when you're swinging off stage, be mindful of where I am in relation to you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want you to walk me through what your thought process was that game. There was definitely a lot of times where you were stuck in disadvantage, maybe at the ledge, you couldn't really regain your footing. So I want to know where you feel like you were kind of lost, and then I want to give you my thoughts and try and compare and contrast them so you can work on maybe figuring it out easier in the future.
I did use down tilt a lot, which was a little bit kind of like just when I finished a move, like trying to stop an approach. So I think I got a little predictable.
Okay.
And ledge options, um, I tried getting off of it, but I just wasn't optimally punishing it. I was going for like either like an option too late or just doing the wrong thing.
Okay. So yeah. So let's touch down on that first part you were talking about, how like you go for an attack and then you'd whiff with the down tilt, or you try and catch like an approach from me with the down tilt, right? I was playing pretty patient right from the get-go, especially when I got a lead, right? I recognized, okay, Lucina is really good at stopping people from approaching her. I have a lead. You're going to have to kind of come into my zone and fight me. And I would use a lot of movement, maybe my own quick poke options like down tilt, to try and encourage you. When you whiff, when you go for like nair, down air, or not down air, forward air, or anything like that, and you whiff when you go for that down tilt, your down tilt's a bit more committal. And I'm not even necessarily trying to approach it in the beginning, because I understand that I'm not going to be able to open you up every time. So when you whiff, you could go for like, that short hop forward air and trying to land on it. And then you could go in and dash attack and try and mix me up if you really want to approach and stun me out. Or you could just kind of gradually work your way in with that space. You don't have to do like, I always land into another attack to cover me. You could like forward air, get a little bit of space, see how I respond, and then gradually get closer and closer, right? It doesn't have to be all in one sweeping motion.
Yeah, I felt like I was retreating too much, like after doing the move, so I just gave up stage control.
Yeah, so there's times where you could be like, okay, no, I'm going to throw out this move, and I'm going to hold my ground, and I'm going to see how you punish, or I'm going to see if you try and do stuff, and if not, then I get a feel out. It's like, okay, my opponent's not throwing too many attacks at me. Let's see if I can get in. And then when you get gradually closer, that's when you can try and zone break with the dash attack or the F tilt. That's when you can maybe come on and follow my shield with the nair and try and mix me up, right? There's a lot of different ways to mix it up there. So I think
or
that
if they're like continuously going for like a forward air, you can like shield in front of them and then get a grab off.
Yeah, or you could even run up and see if I'm going to flinch without an option, then you can shield it and try and get your own punish. So there's a lot of different ways to mix it up. But recognizing, okay, I can slowly work my way in. If they're giving it to me, if they're not throwing things at me, if they're not projectiles, that'll help a lot. And someone like Lucina is very static like that if they're not running at you. In regards to the disadvantage aspect, yeah, I definitely went out there a couple times. I hit you with my aerials. I made it really awkward for you, and I kind of just kept you at the ledge. One of the threatening things with Byleth that you can do is obviously your up air is a really good sharking tool through the platform, through the ledge. Your up B can also kind of yoke people up if they're too close to the ledge. You can pull them back. But when you grab the ledge itself, it's all about mixing up those timings, right? Like you have a set amount of options to the ledge: roll, regular, get up, drop down, jump, whatever it is. But if you're always picking a predictable timing with those, you're always getting up at the same time, or you're always rolling whenever I do a certain movement, right, that encourages you, that can make it really predictable. So sometimes just stopping and going, okay, you know what, that's fine, that's the important thing. And yeah, I will down tilt you sometimes if you stay on the ledge too long, but my down tilt's not going to kill you, right? So would you rather take a down tilt if you're really, really unsure and you take too long, get back to the ledge and then try again, or pick the wrong option, get up and get forward smashed, you know? So you have to really like rack your brain and go, what is my opponent doing? Where are they? Let's pick the best option. So in this next game, when you're in disadvantage, I really want you to like, not necessarily just like wait on the ledge and do nothing, but try and identify, okay, I'm going to roll here. I think this will work. And if it doesn't work, then ask yourself, why didn't it work? What happened? Where was my opponent? And that's going to help you understand the greater like reason they're going for that and how they're doing it. And if I get a good scenario like that as well, I'll call it out for you why I think it worked.
I see.
see how I wait, and sure, I pick a wrong option after, but it makes it a lot harder to react, especially online, because I'm just waiting. And then I throw up your option. I see where you are relationally.
Yeah, I saw you wait to the platform, so I just kind of wanted to see what you did afterwards.
So twice now you've been camped off stage because you're immediately trying to swing. You're not. It's ended up not working. They're the forward air, the first stock to side B. When instead it might be better just to focus on trying to dodge me and recover however you can ASAP if you can recover.
Yeah.
Heck, even go at an angle where maybe you can up B me if I miss, and then you can definitely recover.
And then if you're above like this percent threshold, then it's just gonna
yeah,
kill.
it's guaranteed dead. Much better. Nice. See, that patience, that helps so much, right? I don't have a projectile, especially as this character, so I'm locked into an answer. You add a little patience, you really react to what I'm doing, see if I'm pulling my trigger first, you get a good punish, and that was really good. That was a nice mix-up. There was no way I could have punished you there. You even mix up your recovery at the end. You see how there's a clear difference between I'm just swinging because I'm hoping I hit them, or I'm scared, and let me really take that time and evaluate what they're doing.
Yeah, patience is one thing I've like struggled on in my play style. It's like hearing like how to work on it from someone else is like really nice, just showing like what the thought process of someone else's patience is.
Oftentimes, the need to approach constantly in that aggression, that comes from almost like an autopilot-esque response, because you're not giving yourself the ability to really digest that information and think and breaking it down. You're go, 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 you're in a bad spot, and you're just recognizing, sure, you're not in the best spot, but you have to attack. When you really think about it, you're like, okay, I don't need to approach here. I can do this. And then it allows you to break it down a bit better and identify when you need to slow down.
Yeah.
I didn't think that's going to send you in that way, I'm going to be totally honest.
I thought it was going to get sent like out.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. All three of those stocks were just really unfortunate. The first one, I don't think the up B that you went for was even necessarily bad. It's just my up B in the air gives me that frame 1 invincibility for the first, like, I think 5 frames. So I just kind of ignored your up B.
I think like it hit you like as frame 1 came out for your up B, and I'm like, oh, there's the invincibility of it.
Yeah, it connected, and then my character was like, no, I don't want to deal with that. So then it just went on its way. Second stock was a really unfortunate stage spike, and then the third one definitely an up B shenanigan. So I don't think that was anything too bad. It's definitely like you just shrug it off. They happen sometimes. If anything, you go, okay, I'll be more aware of the fact that Lucina might up B in some cases. I have to be a little bit more careful to attack off stage, even if I think I'm not going to be in that spot. Stuff like that, right? You accept, like, yes, it was unfortunate, but you still made those miscalculations on your own part.
like you could just play them better for next time.
Yeah, like you can know that if you're off stage and you're in that similar spot, be ready to stage spike at all if you're off stage if you're tethering. Funny enough, there I think he could have back aired me when I missed that first time.
It just felt like a little too risky.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Gonna make it.
That makes sense. You have a pretty generous recovery too, so when you do, you know, go low, it's not always the worst. Slow response on your part, I think, there.
Yeah.
So right there, up tilt. I just know, like, yeah, you're probably going to go for an air dodge. Like, you're already scared of a potential up air. I don't want to risk messing it up. That type of stuff, where, like, I already know what the general outcome of me hitting that move can do so much for you. And that's the same concept you can apply with those down tilts. And you've done it sometimes, too. But that's that thought process that I'm going for. Not dead. Nice.
Yeah.
No, honestly, I think that the game you played your advantage really well. Like, there was an entire stock where I was pretty much stuck on the ledge, right? And you just kind of took it slow. You know, I got back a couple times. Like, I picked the right option where I might roll on stage and it'd work, but then right after that, I'd pick a pad option. And I didn't reset. You kept exploiting that, and as well as mixing your own stuff up. So I think that was really good there. But yeah, no.
Yeah, like,
oh, go on.
Yeah, like there's like one time where like it's like like okay to take the lull punch, which is something I haven't like not too much of.
Yeah.
So I'm like, just if I can air dodge here, I'll take the Lucina like upbeat, like the late hit of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Instead of like.
No, it's definitely like
the whole stock.
Yeah, it's not worth. You know, pick the lesser of two evils, right? Don't give them something more than they're earning. If you can compromise, be like, okay, I'm gonna get hit here. I got in a bad spot. Let's take what gets me back on the game and gets me in there.
Yeah, thinking that way is something that really helps. Now I'm gonna go for down it.
See, you roll distance, I waited. I was like, there's no way that down tilt's going to hit me. I'm going to wait. And that was me kind of being one step ahead after what we talked about. But I think what you went for there wasn't necessarily a bad option.
I wanted to like bait with the down tilt and try and catch like a normal get after that with the up smash.
Yeah. It definitely can work. A lot of the times I find when you bait something at like directly at the ledge, it can encourage people to roll if you follow up. So being open-ended, maybe you go for like a reverse down smash, right? We run pivot it, so you down smash right if they roll, but then you catch them on the backswing if they regular get up. Go for cheesy stuff like that. That's like really weird and niche, but it's that type of stuff where you want to try and cover as many options as possible. All right, wasn't expecting that.
I mean, I don't know how that missed.
Yeah, I'm not. My back was to it. Is the only thing I can assume. But no, solid game. Solid game. I feel like you're definitely getting it down pretty well. If you want, I can go Olimar now some. See how that does. That's gonna be definitely different than the Lucina.
Yeah, because you have to play the matchup there as well.
Just it's a few different things, different character, different matchup. I'm a lot more comfortable with Olimar. So you'll see as we get into it. But just keep thinking about the stuff we were talking about. If you're unsure of anything, don't be afraid to ask me, and then we'll kind of gauge it game by game, all right?
But if you apply those like same concepts,
yeah, like
that matchup.
The patience, thinking about it, breaking it down, like what is the response of every button you press, like what do you want from it and what's actually happening, so you can try and find a better understanding.
It's like one thing I think I had a problem with is I was like overthinking like certain like situations.
Okay.
And so like just taking it like in a more simpler path, just
it's like a step-by-step
there.
You don't need to make it more complicated than it needs to be. Like there's definitely a time and place for that, sure. But on average, it's just like no, you just go. I press this button and I get this response.
If I'm correct, that like down B if I'm correct, that's super. Right?
Yeah, super armor frames 2 through 7.
Yeah, because I remember seeing it at a local. That has armor.
Yeah. So, against Olimar, it's very different. You have to be a lot more kind of mindful of when you're swinging. Not necessarily don't swing as much, because there's times where you just want to kind of brute force your way on top of me. But it's more like, oh, are you attacking in kind of that mid-range for no reason or trying to do something, and there's a Pikmin on you or something, that's gonna punish you, because you're hitting the Pikmin, you're creating more lag, right?
Yeah.
So ways you can think about that are, okay, yeah, doing things like neutral air and stuff are good on top of Olimar. Pressuring your shield is good. Dash attacking even, right? Kind of zone break for me, cover me, hit me if I try and side me with a non-purple color, because that doesn't have knockback on my end. Ways to intercept me there. But it is going to be different than how you were with Lucina, where you could kind of take it slower because there's no, there was no projectile. Yeah. So it's like you can still kind of incrementally work your way in, but you need to be ready to pull the trigger a bit faster. Because I'm going to be throwing a lot of things at you, and I'm waiting for you to mess up. I'm waiting for you to hit my shield or get scared or spot dodge or whatever it is, so I can come in and punish you. Sometimes you can get a little bit more aggressive with it. You can come and try and nair on my shield or mix me up with a grab. Like, you know, you have those options. You really gotta use them against a character like this, where the matchup pacing is gonna be so much more different than Lucina.
Yeah. You just gotta play like the matchup is more careful as well.
Yeah. See what I mean with that dash attack? How it just covers that distance so well.
Yeah. Oh, make it bad.
That's such a bad tech.
We all love Wi-Fi, don't?
Yeah, it'd be like that sometimes. I jabbed you with the intention of you rolling there, so.
Yeah, that was a good catch on my panic option.
It's a lot of players fall into it right there. They're at kill percent. They're near the ledge. In their head, they're thinking, I gotta get inwards to the stage. So they're holding shield or they're buffering roll or whatever it is, and it puts them in a really unfortunate spot. So you can't shield both hits of my down smash like that with a full shield if it's slightly charged. Your shield breaks out 100%.
Yeah, purple Pikmin just does so much.
Yeah, that's because I'm running into you right as you pull up your shield, and before the like model pushback pushes us far enough away, when I down smash, you get hit with both. So it just does an absolute ton of damage. But no, I like the dash attack stuff there. I'm not expecting you to do too amazing in this matchup if you're not super familiar in it, just because there's a lot to kind of digest. Olimar is a character where you have to fight like a lot of it to really understand him. But if you have any questions about how things work, I'm more than happy to answer them.
It's hard to like see how the matchup works a lot more with like avoiding the Pikmin and then just catching Olimar's options when he's vulnerable.
There's definitely times where when you're fighting me, you can just be like, okay, you throw a Pikmin on me, I'm gonna run away and kill it instead of like getting in your face and killing it or trying to kill it right in front of you. Because you know when you're hitting those Pikmin, that's committing a level of lag to you that you would have if you were hitting me normally. So I can come in and punish. As well as just having them on you every time they tick, they cause 2 frames of hit lag, so they do just slow you down in general. So knowing when to get out of there and kill them. If I throw purples in your face, you know, trying to kill them really quick, using a tilt, using whatever you can to get rid of them is really important. But I think, you know, with this, you just got to find your perfect rhythm, and that's why there's not like a perfect answer to give you. Because I can tell you one thing, you're going to do it, and then I'm just going to come up with a different solution, right? So it's got to be a bit more dynamic than that, and that's where just kind of feeling it out helps a lot.
Yeah, just getting used to it.
Nice.
Like in this matchup, you just have to be so aware of everything he's doing.
Yes.
You just get so much off of it.
You don't get to go to not think against Olimar. I like to think of it as like if I'm having to pay attention to everything, so are you.
Matchup is interesting. It's nice. It's interesting seeing how it plays out.
Yeah. That was a really good use of that down tilt to kind of scare me into where you wanted.
Like poor purple Pikmin. if I'm correct, when you pull Pikmin out, it's all in the set of boards in terms of when the colors change, right?
Yes, yes, it's red, yellow, blue, white, purple, then back to red always. And it doesn't reset on stock, so it just kind of carries over.
It's just that set order throughout the whole game.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought I saw. Oh,
I respect the attempt, right? Because
I tried to do it on your recovery because there's like not a hitbox unless
Yeah.
you like get off of it.
Yeah.
But
No, I was
just haven't
playing.
experimented with it
Yeah,
enough.
I was playing in a way to where, like, even on stage, right? I was just like constantly static and threatening Zen. Like, I was comfortable with trying to get my chip damage until I got you into percent where I could kill you, or I could do something, or you hard overcommitted. And even off stage when you knocked me, and that's kind of what I was talking about before with like when you get stage spiked with the up, you like, I'm off stage, you're nowhere near me. I'm still going. You know what? I'm gonna pay attention to where you are. I'm gonna respect the fact that you can somehow clip me if I'm not careful, right? So I up B and I'm like, no, I'm alright. I'm gonna just stay right here for real quick. I've got a lot of mobility. I can abuse that. And if you overcommit to anything crazy, I can get by you.
Yeah, because I went for like a read on like where you were going instead of trying to
and honestly,
instead of seeing where you were going and punishing that.
If you fault, and it's fine to take those risks, you just have to be comfortable with them. And I'm sure if you fought a different Olimar, someone who's less kind of scared or whatever, wasn't careful, they could have died there. It's just I'm, really paying attention to that, especially in these games. So that was something that I was keeping in mind as well, because I don't want to give away my stock after I've been working so hard to keep it.
Yeah.
So like right there, I just drifted out. Like I recognize that's your range. I'm not gonna fuck with it.
Yeah, the range is pretty deadly. That missed almost worked.
Yeah, I was on to oh fuck.
Olimar needs 2 purple picks to be as good as he is. Oh my goodness, we're gonna have invincibility.
Yeah, so you're at a higher percent. Runoff, turnaround, side B, and the save the purple is crazy strong against tethers because it can catch you on your way up. It can catch you hanging on. Whatever it is.
The lingering hitbox then.
Yeah, right? It doesn't go away until like I think it's like 200 something frames later. Like it's going to be active until it hits that blast zone. Let's put it that way. So it's such a powerful option to cover or on walled stages as well, right? If you're on like Kalos and you tether down there, like I will happily just have it ride that wall. And then I'll stage spike you, so that's something to be mindful of. It is one of those mix-ups you weren't ready for. But it's another example of like
good mix-up.
I've got a plethora of ways to kill you off stage that you're not even thinking of. And other than that, I think like your neutral's kind of getting into a more comfortable spot where you're recognizing, okay, it's time to swing here, it's time to pull out, and you're even like gradually working your way in the middle, like not making it super obvious. I think that's good because that's kind of what Violet does. It's like, yeah, you can mess around with Nair on people's shields all day and stuff and hit your confirms. But at the end of the day, you have to like find a way to get in because Byleth is not a fast character, so it's not like straightforward at all. You don't get like a free approach option like some of the other top tiers out there.
That's true. Oh, I thought that spiked.
I don't think it would have killed. Oh, I guess you would have been able to beat me if it did, potentially.
I was hoping to like get something after that, but
Gotcha.
the jump itself just kind of messed up.
Another moment where like you probably aren't registering that you're in danger, so you're thinking, okay, put out a hitbox, do whatever, and it's like, nope, I will kill you.
The purple Pikmin throw caught me off guard for sure.
That's exactly what it is. Like, I don't care if you're already in the magnifying glass. I don't care if you're on the ledge. I've got ways to kill you everywhere if you slip up and if you're not careful. And that kind of isn't, that's not even necessarily just you. I catch a lot of people with that, even ones who maybe are more experienced than Olimar. Because the thing is, it's easy to let those things slip your mind when you're focused on recovering, when you're focused on doing something else. Because not every character
so many
is gonna do
options that people have to watch out for that they'll forget another one.
Yeah, that's usually what I like to do. I've got so many little tricks that like there's no way you can keep them all in mind. And it does work well, but on your end, it's like, you're off in that spot. You're thinking, okay, let's recover. That's why you need to pay attention to what I'm doing, right? Like, you can focus on recovering. Maybe you need to neutral air dodge. Maybe you need to side B, right? Because in that case, the only real options you have for that purple are you can dodge it if you have an option, right? I don't even know if you would have been able to live had you air dodged. Or you could try and hit it, and that will disable the hitbox because it'll clank, right? You could potentially kill it depending on how you hit it. So maybe you got to like fall with an up air somehow, or maybe you got to try and side B and swing at it and kill it, right? That gets rid of the purple. That opens up a different dynamic, but that's one way to address that. And by paying attention to me and going, okay, I got knocked off stage, let's focus on recovering. If I have a jump, even better, things like that, then you can do it, right? But you still have to give me that focus. And a lot of players tend to not do that when they're off stage. They kind of just hyper-focus on themselves, or when they're at the ledge, they hyper-focus on just, it's kind of like almost surviving, but it's tunnel vision. It's very specific on what they consider surviving.
Yeah. 3, 2, 1, go! I was looking at the opponent, something I heard that like doing is really good. I just haven't been able to like correctly implement it, or like in the best perspective.
Yeah, it's definitely a skill that you have to learn. It's not like a just, oh yeah, I tell you to look at your opponent and then you're always looking at them. These are things that you start to refine over time, and the best way you start them is to recognize like, okay, I need to do this, right? If you're like when you died off stage there, your thought process should have been like, okay, I got hit with a purple, I need to have, ideally knocked off stage, sure, but I needed to have been paying attention to what he's doing, keep that in mind. So next time, since you made an active effort to recognize the mistake you made, now it's going to be a little bit easier to correct it next time. It's not a perfect process, and you're not always going to be perfect with it, but acknowledging it is the best way to commit it to that memory so that you can catch it.
Yeah. I missed the tech. Is that an air and 2 up smash a true combo?
Not always. There are definitely times where it is. But it depends on how I land the neutral air. So there are times where, yeah, it's going to true combo you. Or you're going to be put in a spot where, like, your only real option is to, like, jump away or air dodge. That's not technically true, but you don't have, like, a button that's going to solve your problem. But definitely in your case, with the case of Violet, I would say, like, if you're unsure, air dodge is your best bet.
Yeah. Probably like either way, not doing like the
yeah,
same
so
every
it's
time.
weird because there are times where I'll know that I'm landing it in a way that's not true, so then I'll punish you for air dodging. But it's one of those, you don't want to just like stand there all the time and take it. So be mindful. Like in that case, you could have tried air dodge off stage because you're near the ledge, right? That's good. That means that's going to give you time to fall. You can recover from the lag, then you can upbeat the ledge. If you air dodge into the stage, which a lot of players do because they're getting hit and they panic, and in their mind they're going, ah, no, I'm dying. Don't air dodge off stage. Air dodge in. I get a free up smash read and you're dead. So it's kind of fight off that urge to go, oh no, air dodge in, and it's more like air dodge to a spot that's going to give me more control. Sure, I'm quote-unquote off stage and at the ledge and in disadvantage, but you're not dead. And
reset the game and try to get into your
buy yourself more time to come up with a better solution.
So real quick, like with like approach options, like what are like the best ways to think about it when you trying to mix them up? Because like sometimes it just feels like predictable going for like, oh, jump in, or like just completely jumping.
So with Byleth, it's a little bit less obvious than someone who would have more traditional buttons. But I would recommend like identify. Here, actually, I'll pull it up after this match, and I'll get a more concrete answer. I'll pull up Byleth's frame data so I have it on hand. Because it's like one of those things where you need to mix it up in the sense of like, okay, you might not always have safe buttons. That's fine, but you can punish something. You can approach with something that's not safe if you punish your opponent who's fucking you up. And that's like going back to what I was saying earlier, where it's kind of like an incremental, like you gradually work your way in, right? It doesn't have to be all or nothing. So you can slowly, like, I'm gonna come in, you know, maybe like throw out these with back airs, forward airs, whatever it is, to threaten you, and then I'm just gonna gradually approach that way. And that's the kind of stuff where you can catch people off guard a lot. Like right there, like when I run in and I do that double purple down smash, that's not safe shield pressure, that's you getting scared, right? I'm exploiting the fact that you don't know what to do in this scenario, and you're instead opting to pick a defensive option, and I'm punishing you for it.
Never seen Nintendo do that before.
Yeah, I think the Pikmin came off right as you did it, so it messed it up. so let me pull up Violet's stuff so I can try to construct something a bit more. So Violet's aerials are weird in the way they're safe. Like, the neutral air is not very safe. Like, your landing hitbox on it's -9. The aerial hitbox is -11. The power in that move really comes from, one, people not properly respecting all the multi-hits, two, them dropping shield before the landing hitbox, and three, the ability to cross up very effectively, right? Because, like, yeah, it's -9, but if someone doesn't have a good out-of-shield option that hits behind them on -9, then it's fine, right? Like, it doesn't... It's also, I think, relatively consistent to space because of that landing hitbox. So you can always fall with it, and it generates it. So it creates a really common experience there where you can just try and be ambiguous on people with that. Another way you can do it is, like, yeah, you said you don't want to always just jump at people and do stuff. Those forward air and those back air are pretty safe, not only because they're numbers, but also the distance, right? Your forward air, I think spaced, is -6 on shield, but it also has a disjoint the size of, like, Shulk's Monado. So you put that distance between you, and that creates the mix-up there. Then, you know, you might not always be attacking with safe pressure, but it's more like, okay, what am I doing? If I'm pressuring somebody horizontally, you know, I'm doing these short hop back air, short hop forward airs, not necessarily approaching on them, but kind of like doing it around them, right? And then that's scaring them, or that's making them respect it, and I think they're going to jump, then you can dash attack. Then or if you think they're going to shield, then you can run in and grab. As much as I don't want to keep going back to him, whenever I watch Leo play Byleth, because that's really the only Byleth I'm exposed to a lot.
I've been analyzing some of his gameplay as well. So.
Yeah, it's like what he does is he able to thread the needle right outside your range extremely well. He goes, hey, respect me, now I'm in your face, and now I'm pressing my advantage. But, you know, he does that with every character, but with Byleth, he does it super consistently because he's making you respect forward air, back air, side B. He's also, you know, and then he throws in random neutral airs on you that you're not ready for. Or he waits for you to hit his shield, and then he neutral airs you, right? He'll go like, okay, yeah, come hit my shield. Oh, because I was near you, now I'm going to neutral air you out of shield with it because you didn't space it right.
So, like, baiting the option and then just consistently trying to punish the option they're doing.
Yeah, so because you're not playing a hard aggression character who's running in all the time, you have to incorporate more mix-ups and more kind of fake-outs in the sense of, like, yeah, you will forward air and back air people's shields, or you will land on it with neutral air sometimes, but you're also just going to sit around them and scare them into pulling the trigger first. And that's what I'm doing to you in some of these games, right? Like, in that last game, there's a lot of times where I'd sit right outside your range, and I'd, like, poke with forward smash, and I'd be like, come on, pick an option. And you'd swing, and then I'd come punish you. I didn't commit to anything, because I recognized Olimar doesn't have that level of shield pressure unless I have, like, purple Pikmin, and I'm able to side B pressure with them. A lot of the times, I can't be pressuring your shield for free all the time. So it's going into and recognizing, okay, when you're throwing these moves out, what are they doing? Are they jumping? Are they shielding? Are they hitting back at me? And seeing how can I mix that up on them, because it's not just straight aggression, it's more so you're threatening with your presence as much as you are with your buttons. 3, 2, so we got time for about one more game, but I want you to try and keep that in mind when we're playing here. It's definitely not going to be easy, and it might slow you down, but as long as you're thinking about, like, implementing them, you're going to be able to come up with a better solution in the future. But the same way I crossed you up with that nair is the same reason your neutral air is super consistent. Or consistently, like, catches people, because it's that ambiguity.
some reason I thought that wasn't going to be active.
No, it definitely is active. But no, I think that was a really good game for you regardless, because I don't know if you noticed, but that was a lot of that mid-range gameplay we were talking about. That's what Byleth is. Like, as corny as it is, the term distance demon isn't I outrange everyone. It's I'm playing that mid-range uncomfortable zone extremely well, and that's when I outrange them. That's when I make it uncomfortable, right? And
like close combat.
yeah,
I
it's
got,
like you're not
upper hand.
boxing like a Mario or like a Roy does, but you're not going like Min Belmont full stage. You're instead going, I'm coming in and out, and I'm throwing out these really threatening moves that hit a lot harder than most things, and I'm able to get in there and whiff punish you very well, or I'm able to condition you into a spot I want. You know, you would punish my aggression with neutral air to shield a lot of the times. You would intercept me with the forward airs and the neutral airs and the dash attacks a lot of the time and get those combos when I would whiff punish, or when you would kind of notice that there was an opening because you were around me, you still played around that. Most of your stock losses of that game weren't because you were, you know, maybe making the worst plays. It was, oh, you're F-tilting at the wrong time, or you're going for this more committal option at the wrong time. Like, you would try and, you know, we'd get in a scuffle, and you'd see where I am, not where I'm going to be, and you'd go, oh, I have to F-tilt here, and then I'd roll behind, and I'd punish you, or I'd do whatever, right? You were still attacking exactly where I was, and maybe it was online, maybe, you know, you might have just been off, but you were responding a little bit too late to those. So instead, you got to be a little bit more, if you're unsure of what's going to happen, maybe try neutral airing, right? Neutral air, do a short hop neutral air, going to cover a little bit more sides. You know, it's not always as committal as the forward air, or you can even just get out of there if you're unsure. You could jump away and say, I don't want to play this, or shield, or do whatever, right? You don't always have to swing just because you think there's an opening. If you're unsure, you can take it slow, you can kind of reset that as well. But I think you played that mid-range game very effectively there.
Yeah, because I've always I've swung at where the person is, so like over time, right now I'm just trying to like implement like where they're gonna go swinging, which is like comes with like learning how to like bait and everything.
Yeah.
Like all these little things that just get better over time.
Yeah, I find the best way, and I've said this a couple times now, I find this the best way to improve those things is you have to recognize that you want to do them. It's one thing to go, I want to be able to mix my stuff up better, but then kind of just blank out mentally whenever you make a mistake or you don't do it right. Like, yeah, you'll recognize it didn't go as you planned, but there's a difference between that and going, okay, I wanted to mix it up, but I didn't do this option. I didn't, you know, read their role after I did that, or I didn't shield after I attacked them. You know, make it very clear. Identify what happened in that situation. Go, I wanted this to happen. You know, I wanted to pressure a shield this way, but I made an error here. Next time, I'll try this option instead. I'll correct it. And it's kind of a course correction thing over time, because this game isn't static. It's not a rock, paper, scissors where everything always beats everything. It's a little bit more dynamic than that, so you have to be flexible. But as long as you're actively going, ah, yes, I see where I made the mistake here, like when you F-tilted my Pikmin. So next time you go, I'm not going to F-tilt there, or maybe I'll try and read the roll if I wanted to do that, or maybe I'll do a different attack, right? But trial and error those things and acknowledge them, and it's going to get so much easier for you over time. But you have to kind of keep that extra bit of thought going into your gameplay at all times.
Yeah, because like anytime you get a punch, you have to think about what happened there so it doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
And then over time, as you understand the situation, you just do it better.
Yeah, it's like a muscle memory thing, but for your brain, a regular memory thing, if you will. It speeds up over time. You learn to recognize situations more than, you know, just inputting inputs. But no, I definitely think you made some solid adjustments towards the end of that session. Just keep working on the stuff we were talking about. When I send you this, if you want to go back and watch it and re-listen to what someone I'm talking about. But what I would really want you to do is, if you end up rewatching it, pay attention to how you're playing at the beginning of the session or the beginning against my Olimar, and then how you're doing it towards the end, because there's some noticeable adjustments there in the way you were spacing and how you were swinging that I think are going to be a bit more obvious if you can watch it back with this kind of hindsight now.
I feel like I was starting to like play smarter and like better toward the end.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, you get more
unless
comfortable,
I was like,
you familiarize yourself, it's going to happen.
Yeah, but like over the course of like the session, like during certain situations, everything just started to become easier and like understand everything.
Yeah. No, that's good. That means you're kind of absorbing the information. And, you know, it's easy to fall back into your older habits of gameplay at leaving this if you're not, if you don't hold yourself accountable for that, right? Like, you could maybe put the game down for the rest of the day, not play tomorrow, and then go back and play some 2 days from now. And if you're not actively thinking, okay, what did Myron tell me? What did we work on? Then you could just fall back into those old habits, and then you won't see that growth. So it's something you have to maintain on your own and keep building off of it. And then if you do get another lesson with me, or if you do anything with anyone else, you keep pushing yourself and remembering those things and build off of it.
Yeah.
But Do you have any last minute questions or anything?
I don't think I have any off the top of my head
Okay,
right now.
great.
I got like a bunch of stuff answered, and feel like I can just think better now and
That's good.
implement
I'm
that.
very happy to hear it. I will let you know when the lesson's uploaded, and have a good day, man.
Thanks, appreciate everything.